Hey guys, hi, welcome back once again. My name is Vaishali, and today I'd like to talk about the purpose and utility of our ego identities. Now, you would have noticed that I'm doing this video a little differently. I'm using my own old picture as the backdrop to talk about the purpose and the utility of our ego selves. Now, quite honestly, I'm doing that essentially because I tried making a video earlier, and while editing, I did not find it satisfactory enough. I did not think and I did not feel that I had amalgamated the information with regards to the purpose and the utility of our egos in the most optimal manner. And since I thought and felt that I'd not done that in the best optimal manner possible, I, for the very first time, had to write my thoughts down in order to make this video. Also, I wanted to try something new for the first time, especially with regards to making a video in a new manner. I'm not really sure as to how that's going to go, but I'm open to receiving feedbacks. I'm open to even reviewing and reassessing myself through this particular video. Now, before we begin to unpack the purpose and the utility of our ego identities, let's once again revisit what we understand by ego. So, ego in a more generic sense refers to the term I that we use to describe ourselves. When I'm pointing out towards myself, that's an ego identity that I have with me. Because I'm not pointing out towards somebody else and saying that is me. I'm pointing out towards me or myself to call myself as the I that I identify with. So essentially, ego is the identity that I attach with myself or I identify with myself as that one which feels, which thinks, and which acts. So the ego self then can also be described by using a few other words. I, me, myself, or even ourselves. Now when we use the word I to describe myself, I'm in some ways separating myself from somebody who is the other. And the other then gets addressed as you or they, yours or theirs. Now, the ego identity also identifies itself in some collective senses also. And when I say the collective senses, I'm talking about our interpersonal connections. Our connection and our association with our families, with our communities, with our organizations, with our religions, with our personal and interpersonal shared beliefs, thoughts, and experiences. It also associates itself with its address, its habits, its relationships, its ideas of its own self through somebody else's perspectives, which again points towards the influence and the impact that others have on us, or the perception of others on us. The ego identity also identifies with its religions, its memories and experiences, which are interlaced with every other aspect that we can consciously or not so consciously recollect. So our ego identities are essentially about all of our functional identities that we identify ourselves with, that we associate and attach ourselves with. And before I forget to mention this, these functional identities at times can be our biggest assets and at times can be our biggest liabilities as well. So let's take up a few of these identities that we identify with. We identify with our bodies, which is why when we are talking about ourselves, we point towards ourself, which is encapsulated and expressed through this physical body. We associate and identify with our names. We identify and associate with the beliefs, the customs, the traditions, the thought processes within our families, our communities, our societies, our religious groups, our nationalities. So in some way that also acts as our collective ego identities, which kind of becomes personal as well. Now let's remind ourselves once again that the ego identity or the thing that I call as myself is essentially something that I associate with the thing that thinks, that feels, and that acts. And quite naturally, all of these things are backed by certain belief systems that are both personal and interpersonal. Now, on the personal level, this I that has a different physical entity, a different physical body, identifies itself as being separate from the other, which it calls as the you or they. On the collective level, this functional identity, which is also the ego identity that the self represents with, becomes our collective interpersonal identities. And this bigger collective ego identity separates itself from those that it considers to be different in one's own collective thought processes, in one's own collective communal enactments. Well, in my understanding, our ego identities, which I also like to call as our functional identities, can enable us establish our negotiables and our non-negotiables, can enable us establish our personal boundaries, can enable us understand our own unique aspects, can enable us see perspectives from a different point of view which is different to mine, can enable us come to an understanding of agreeing to disagree, can enable us assess and re-evaluate consistently and constantly our values with each phase in our lives, can enable us to consciously transcend our own identities, exactly like Buddha had done, exactly like Ashoka had done, exactly like Nelson Mandela had done. And I'm paraphrasing here, as Carl Jung had said, that the first half of a man's life is devoted towards forming a healthy ego. The second half of his life is about looking inwards, going inwards, and letting go of that ego. And if I had to reframe it, I would say that the first half of a man's life or a human's life is about forming an ego identity, while the next part about our lives is about integrating our ego identities to form a healthier ego aspect, to form a healthier functional identity with regards to our personal and our interpersonal connections. Because when we kind of look at our ego identities as being all negative or as being all bad, in my understanding, metaphorically, we are trying to say that having blood pressure is bad, is unhealthy, is negative, completely omitting, forgetting, and negating the fact that without having a regular, normal blood pressure, we will not survive in our bodies. The dysfunctionality comes in when even the blood pressure goes on an overdrive or an underdrive. And if we can just understand that analogy, I think we'd understand that there is a way to utilize our functional identities to evolve to a better versions of ourselves. There is a way to curate healthy ego identities without it being self-sabotaging or sabotaging towards the others, without it being detrimental towards ourselves or towards the others. Let's try and give this thought some thought, and I will see you once again the next week. Till then, stay tuned in. And guys, if you do like the contents of my videos, please do like, share, and subscribe.